camera taunting a lion after climbing into its exhibit.
A shooting survivor is crowned as the homecoming queen at Green Canyon High School.
Timpview High School is literally sinking into the ground, and Dixon Middle School is being moved. Welcome to NewsLine. It's Wednesday, October 2nd. I'm Savannah Hegerhorst.
And I'm Joseph Carson. A new school bond is on the ballot this November, and many members of the community are divided over the proposal.
The Provo District School Board is visiting different parts of the community to explain the bond to those with concerns. Chris Jacobs went to one last night. Chris, tell us about it.
I went to one at Timpanogos Elementary, and though it was pretty tame, emotions have run high across the district. There are lots of valid concerns and a lot of real problems.
Timpview High, Dixon Middle School, Wasatch Elementary, and several more schools will receive funding for renovation. The bond will cost taxpayers $245 million, which will equal an extra $264 per year at its peak in 2026. The biggest question is,
why Timpview? Built in 1975, it was not scheduled for part of the bond,
which accounts for over half of the cost of the bill at $145 million. A relatively new school, it was built on poor soil with a heavy roof, which has led to cracking walls, sinking building, and even a cinder in the classroom.
Cracks, like what the hallways and what makes me nervous for the kids.
As recently as 2014, Timpview was not scheduled to be on the bond, but due to a cinder block falling in 2026, schedules had to change.
We knew we had a problem with that too.
Another one of the big controversies is Dixon Middle School, which was built in 1931, is being scheduled to move neighborhoods. Many people in the community are questioning why. The school board's answer is saving $10 million, quicker construction, and larger facilities. Another concern at all the schools is the safety of portables in the case of gun violence. Without cameras or with a proper speaker system set up for those portables, members of the community feel students are vulnerable. According to school board members, they believe this will be solved at least partially while rebuilding the school.
The bond will be on the ballot in November, so if you want to vote, you'll need to mail in a voter registration form before next Monday. Another informational meeting will be held tomorrow at Dixon Middle School, and the public is invited.
Thanks, Chris.
Brigham Young University released their 2019 security and fire safety reports. The report shows the crime statistics for the last year for both on-campus and off-campus areas related to the university. In 2018, BYU received 3 on-campus reports of rape, 16 accounts of fondling, 30 reports of stalking, 2 accounts of aggravated assault, and 5 motor vehicle thefts. BYU is required to release their crime statistics every year.
An 8-year-old girl escaped an attempted kidnapping in Cedar City. According to police, the girl was in a tractor trailer at a travel stop when a man opened the car door and tried to grab her. The girl kicked away and ran out of the passenger door. The man then ran away. Police located the man in Washington County and took him to the Cedar City Police Department. The man was interviewed by a detective and then released. Police say they are not looking for other suspects in this case.
Logan police ask for the public's help to find a man wanted for theft. Erasmo Garcia is wanted for connections to multiple car thefts, traffic accidents, and invading law enforcement. Police warn that anyone helping with Garcia will be investigated for obstruction of justice. Officials ask that if you have any knowledge of Garcia's whereabouts to call Logan Dispatch. You can remain anonymous. If you're thinking of starting a business, Provo might just be the place for you.
Forbes ranks Provo among top 10 cities in the nation to start a business. Forbes compared the 200 largest metro areas in 2018. The media company looked at 14 categories related to jobs, including income, education level, business, and living costs.
I found that it's really easy to improve quality as well as acquire new business because of the that's in the valley.
Seattle, Washington took the top spot on the list because of their booming economy. Denver, Colorado ranked number 4, and Provo came in at number 9. Sandholt says he sees no reason for business growth to slow down in Provo. If the climb for businesses continues, Provo could move up in the ranking for 2019.
You will now be paying more for your online purchases. Senate Bill 168 went into effect yesterday. The law requires online retailers to collect remote sales taxes. This means that online vendors such as Amazon must collect sales tax on all purchases shipped to the state of Utah. Vendors must also collect sales tax on other online transactions, such as the digital purchasing of ebooks and movies.
Vivint Smart Home Arena plans to make their venue a cash-free area to speed up food and beverage purchases for customers. Starting on October 5th, some vendors on the main and upper floors of the area will only accept credit, debit, and prepaid cards as well as mobile wallets for sales throughout the event. Cash-free transactions will be phased in at all food and beverage points of purchase by the spring of 2020. For guests without an electric form of payment, 5 cash-to-card kiosks will be located on the main and upper concourses to help guests convert cash to a MasterCard prepaid debit card. The Center for Disease Control is warning the public about tuberculosis, with hunting season just around the corner.
The CDC says a man was diagnosed with pulmonary tuberculosis after contracting it from a deer while hunting. The CDC also says 2 cases of tuberculosis contracted from deer were reported 15 years ago. This disease has almost been completely eliminated from cattle, but is still present in bison, elk, and deer.
Tuberculosis to be that strong that you can ingest it through the air, that's scary.
The CDC says tuberculosis can be contracted by inhaling the bacteria of an infected deer. It is often contracted while removing a dead deer's infected organs, a process called field dressing. The CDC is encouraging people to take extra precautions and to wear protective equipment in order to ensure safety for those hunting this season.
U2's 360 stage is now at the Loveland Living Planet Aquarium in Draper. The crew adds the last touches to this 165-foot claw and the final spire today. The band had the idea to leave their stage in several cities throughout North America, South America, and Europe, and the Living Planet Aquarium founder thought Draper would be the perfect place for it.
I decided to call up and ask them if this could be one of those places. And although it was a 2.5-year process to get it to this point, essentially, here we are.
The claw will be used as a learning center. It will feature interactive labs to teach families how to be good stewards of the environment, and it is designed to be wind and earthquake proof and withstand heavy amounts of snow. The official grand opening is set for next spring, but aquarium visitors can still see the towering claw when they visit.
A pro stand-up comedy group aims to deliver funny, clean jokes and provide a spot for new comedians to perform. This weekend, Humor U performed their first show of the season. Fans filled up the auditorium on BYU campus. The large range of comedians has developed a large fan base and individuals who want to participate. Humor U is the only stand-up group at BYU. The group provides a place to learn and a chance to perform live stand-up comedy. It has been running since 2009.
I think that's what we all do for each other. Support each other and build each other up. Share.
Aspiring comedians are making a break into the comedy industry on social media through Humor U. Many members have gone on to professional comedy, making a living performing at venues around the state. Humor U hosts shows monthly on Friday and Saturday nights. The next show is October 25th.
A Logan High School crowned a shooting victim as homecoming queen. Back in 2017, 2 classmates shot Desiree Turner in the head. A family member found her 8 hours later in a ditch. After multiple brain surgeries and a long recovery, Desiree walked down the football field as Green Canyon High School's queen. Desiree is on track to graduate with her class in the spring.
Reading books is becoming less popular. Find out how many people didn't even read one book at all last year and who these people are.
Johnson & Johnson and 2 other companies are settling a lawsuit. Find out what the lawsuit is for and how many millions of dollars was agreed upon in the settlement.
The original Ghostbusters is coming back to theaters. We'll tell you the release date and what updates has been made on this classic movie.
I felt hopeless.
I know it was a joke, but it still hurt me.
Because of you, I felt wanted and not alone in this world.
Because you said hi to me on the first day of school, I felt included and I knew that I was going to be okay.
North Korea launched another missile today, just one day after Pyongyang and Washington agreed to resume nuclear talks. South Korea's Joint Chief of Staff reported the launch. He says the projectiles were heading towards the Sea of Japan. A U.S. official says the launch was from an underwater launch platform. The Japanese Prime Minister condemned the launch, saying it was a violation of the UN resolution. Johnson & Johnson reached a $20 million settlement agreement with 2 counties in Ohio. Johnson & Johnson will give $10 million to Cuyahoga and Summit counties. $5 million are to reimburse the counties for legal expenses. And more than $5 million will go to support nonprofit opioid-related programs in the areas.
Here's something that might surprise you. 27% of adults didn't read a single book last year. The U.S. study says this includes print, electronic, and even audiobooks. The Pew Research Center survey also says these non-readers are people who didn't go to college. Those who make less than $30,000 a year are also less likely to pick up a book. Nearly a decade ago, only 19% of people said they hadn't read a book in the last year.
Try to imagine
Who are you going to call? Grab your Proton Pack and don't cross the streams because the original Ghostbusters is returning to theaters for its 35th anniversary. More than 600 U.S. theaters will screen the classic comedy, including a brand new introduction and featuring the film's stars. The film will be shown on Sunday, October 6th and Thursday, October 10th.
A former Dallas officer is convicted of murder.
Find out what prosecutors are saying about the case.
Look at this! A woman climbed into a lion exhibit and everything is caught on camera. I'll show you her close call with this big cat.
It's a beautiful day here in Provo. More weather updates next.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for information on how to provide even better care for the person who wants to care of you.
What to expect when you're expecting
Like here.
a teenager.
Today, I'm going to show you how to teen-proof your home. First step, hide the car keys. Preferably somewhere they would never look. Challenges will come up. Be ready for them. Hi, honey.
I'm ready for them. You don't use mannequins in the mannequin challenge.
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Hi.
Hi. Patience. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Amber Geiger may spend the rest of her life behind bars. The sentencing phase of her trial resumes Wednesday. The former Dallas police officer was found guilty of murdering a man in an apartment she says she thought was hers. John Lawrence reports.
Former Dallas police officer Amber Geiger awaits her fate.
We, the jury, unanimously find the defendant, Amber Geiger guilty.
The 31-year-old faces up to life in prison for the murder of Botham Jean.
Big surprise, big shock, but you know what? That's the system of justice we have. That's the justice she got.
Last September, Geiger was off duty but still in uniform when she opened the door to an apartment she thought was hers. But Geiger had entered Jean's apartment and shot him, thinking he was a burglar.
I hate that I have to live with this every single day of my life.
It took the jury less than 24 hours to make its decision.
I thought quite possibly this would end in a hung jury. I thought the case was overcharged. I thought she should have been charged with manslaughter. I thought murder was a bridge too far.
Prosecutors questioned why Geiger fired her weapon as opposed to calling for backup, and also said she was more concerned for herself than helping the dying man.
This verdict is for Trayvon Martin, it's for Michael Brown, it's for Sandra Bland, it's for Tamir Rice, it's for Eric Gardner, it's for Antoine Rose.
Jean, who was an accountant, would have turned 28 years old on Sunday.
My life has not been the same. It's just been like a roller coaster.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Geiger was a 4-year veteran with the department at the time of her firing. The shooting had ignited a few days of protests in the area.
A wild sight at the Bronx Zoo last weekend has gone viral. Cassidy McKinney joins us now. Cassidy, what happened at the zoo?
Take a look at this video. A woman climbed into the lion's enclosure at the Bronx Zoo. The concrete jungle got a bit more wild after this woman had to climb over a fence and go through a moat to get this close to the big cat. She then proceeds to taunt the animal with bizarre hand gestures, and in the video you can see that the big cat is clearly not impressed with the woman's dance moves.
There was a woman, it was a good idea for dancing with lions, and what she was thinking.
The police were not impressed either. She was escorted out of the zoo, and now police want to question her. This foolish stunt follows an incident earlier this year where a lion mauled a man to death at an Indian zoo. Now, I'm a cat person, but this lady takes it to the extreme, putting both her life and the lion's in danger. And people on Twitter are outraged after seeing this video, and they think that she was just asking for trouble. Evan tweets, "Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy, but here's my number, so maul me maybe?" Others were commenting on the lion's unbothered demeanor. One tweet says, "The lion at the Bronx Zoo was like..." Now, if lions could roll their eyes, I think that this big cat would definitely be giving the lady major attitude. Another user said, "Even the lion couldn't believe this. He remembers the gorilla situation only in the Bronx Zoo." And he is, of course, referencing to when Harambe the gorilla was shot and killed after a boy fell into his enclosure. R.I.P. Harambe. Now, I would be lying if I said I wasn't happy that this majestic animal came out of the peculiar situation unharmed. Back to you.
A corn maze in Spanish Fork has been generations in the making. Glenn's corn maze was inspired by Glenn Ray, who was known around the town as the Corn Fairy. The Corn Fairy would put fresh corn on his neighbors' porches without them knowing. Even though he has since passed away, his farm and legacy live on. Every September and October, this corn farm transforms into a maze with 3 different routes and activities.
We have 7.5 acres and go out there the last
The design of the maze was created after a picture of Glenn. An aerial view of the field looks like the Corn Fairy in his overall and cowboy hat. The maze is owned and operated by Ray's grandchildren. They say the corn maze is a way for them to pay tribute to their grandfather.
Several school districts in Ohio dismissed students early Tuesday because of the hot weather. Many school buildings don't have air conditioning, so some classrooms got up to 85 degrees or more. Teachers said it was too hot for students to learn. The state is trying to get funding to update their buildings. Columbus City schools were already canceled classes for today. That is crazy. In Ohio, we can see hopefully this rain coming across the country will cool down Ohio and students can get back to school. Not much happening in Utah right now with weather, but the rain is just coming up and around, and the Utah temperatures are cooling down slightly. In our highs, we see that It's cooling down, but not too bad. We have 57 degrees in Provo. Down in St. George is still warm with 79 degrees, and then in Vernal, 62 degrees. Our lows are quite a bit cooler with 38 in Provo, and Logan is getting to the freezing temperatures with 33 degrees, and then down in St. George, 49 degrees. The low for St. George is super important because we have the St. George Marathon this weekend, and our 5-day forecast, we can see that there is not too horrible weather for the marathon. And up in northern Utah, we are looking at a sunny week, which is awesome, and the temperatures are cooling down, but I'm just so grateful the sun is still there.
I know. It's so nice to have the sunny weather, even though it is cooling down.
Aren't you running the St. George Marathon this weekend?
Yes, so I've been watching the weather extra close.
That's so exciting. You're going to do awesome.
Hopefully next week we'll have your results on the sports segment. But today, coming up in sports, injuries seem to be the continuous trend for BYU quarterbacks. How long will Zach Wilson be out of commission? And then later, more celebration in DC after an unconventional win last night. That's next in sports.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
The forest is a whole hidden world of wonders. What better place to let your imagination soar? Experience nature and create a memory you can share. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest or park near you.
BYU star quarterback Zach Wilson will watch from the sidelines for the first time in almost a full year. After undergoing surgery on Tuesday of this week, the sophomore QB is reportedly out of commission for the time being. BYU football correspondent Kenny Cox said on the phone that Wilson underwent a surgical procedure on his right hand, but it is anticipated that he will return at some point this season. The Cougars host South Florida next Saturday. The BYU women's volleyball team is on a surge for glory after losing in the national semifinal last year. The Cougars hosted LMU last night in the Smith Fieldhouse for the first WCC matchup of the 2019 campaign. Although it wasn't that easy, the Cougars earned the win through 5 full sets of back-and-forth play. An ace would be followed by multiple LMU errors and finally a BYU kill to finish off the match. BYU now travels to California to face Pacific on Thursday and St. Mary's on Saturday. One of the most beloved teams in the NBA resides just a few miles north of here and takes form in Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Joe Ingles, and new additions of the Utah Jazz. 2019 Media Day took place yesterday in Salt Lake City, and fans were able to see the J-Notes alongside their new teammates. Jazz coach Quinn Snyder had nothing but hope and excitement for his new team looking ahead to the new season.
Like, I don't want anybody to defer to anybody else. You know, I want us to play in concert and show the ball and find out the best opportunity that I have.
Snyder commented on the dynamic of the new players meshing with the old and his anticipation for the diverse playmaking opportunities to come this season. Just a week after destroying a locker room with gallons of champagne and post-game celebration, the Washington Nationals did it again. After trailing by 2 runs for nearly the entire game, the Nats score 3 game-deciding runs from a defensive mistake out in right field. That error would prove to be costly for the Brewers as the Nats propel themselves into the National League Division Championship. And now, before we end our segment, how about a little career advice? A mattress salesman from Houston placed a $3.5 million bet on the Houston Astros to win the World Series this year. And if successful, Jim Mackingville will earn over $7.7 million. A wager most of us would probably lose sleep over, but not the Mattress King. That'll do it for sports. We'll be right back.
Attention travelers. Next Tuesday, a major hurricane will cause complete chaos throughout the city. Water, phone, and internet service will be in short supply. There will likely be panic citywide. Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
Uno, we've got news about one of your favorite card games.
The number of people who can now shout Uno just got bigger and more inclusive. Mattel just made a Braille version. With more than 7 million blind and low vision people in the US, Mattel decided to work with the National Federation of the Blind to make it happen. The deck will feature Braille dots on the corner of each card, and there's also Braille on the front and back of the box. This isn't the first time Mattel has taken steps to be more inclusive. They also have an Uno set for folks who are colorblind. How cool is that?
I'm super excited for it. Thanks for joining us today on Newsline. For more information on our stories or to share them with your friends, check out our website at universe.byu.edu/Newsline.
I love Uno. That's awesome.
I know, Uno's the best. I mean, you